miss Vegas. I feel like, last time we did this show, you were sitting, I don't know, like just a stone's throw away from me. We were spoiled. Now it's back to reality.
Well, we'll do our best to have as much fun as we did last Wednesday when we literally were about 6 feet apart from each other sitting there in the Daily Wager studio. Let's get a kick started, though, with a little reaction or no action on this Monday, starting in the association. Anita, how about Giannis and the Bucks looking pretty gosh darn good against the Celtics in Game 1, a rather dominant win behind a dominant performance from their two-time league MVP and last year's Finals MVP. Reaction or no action, the Bucks will win this series versus the Celtics because they're just too physical. Minus 135 is the price right now.
Come on, no action here, baby. My Celtics ride and die. And not that I'm a Celtics fan. I've just been on them since the All-Star break. I felt like they were the best team coming into the postseason. Now, don't want to take anything away from Giannis. Triple-double. Holiday showed up right, 25 points. But I just want to believe that the Celtics are going to make some adjustments, Tyler. And they're going to come back. It's going to be a different game. Tatum had an off night, 21 points. Pedestrian for Tatum this season. So no action for me. I'm still sticking with the Celtics here, boo.
I'm with you, Anita. I think there was a big shock for the Celtics. I mean, I'm sorry to disparage the Nets this way, but jumping from such a mediocre team that you dominated like the Brooklyn Nets to the defending world champions and the best player in the world, I think it took a game for the Celtics to realize, oh crap, we're not playing a JV squad anymore. We're playing a legit champ. And I trust the Celtics are physically and mentally tough enough because they had the best defense in the NBA, and usually it's hard to do that unless you are physically and mentally tough. I expect that they will bounce back in a big way, ratchet up their physicality. They got big bodies. They got Al Horford. They got Grant Williams. They got Time Lord. I know Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum aren't afraid of anyone. They got the Defensive Player of the Year in Marcus Smart. So, yeah, I think it was just a shock to realize, oh, shoot, this is not the Nets anymore. They're soft. They're weak. This is a legit team, the defending champs, with the best player in the universe. So like you, I say no action. Just took a game to realize, oh, this is a big step up in competition. All right, let's move to the Western Conference. We saw the Golden State Warriors escape with a 117-116, I believe, 1-point victory in Game 1 on the road against the Grizzlies. So the Grizzlies missed their chance to win this series with Ja Morant's left-handed layup falling off the rim. Golden State a $5 favorite to win this series. Reaction or no action after the Game 1 loss? No shot for the Grizz.
Yeah, listen, I'm going reaction here. Man, they did lose their opportunity, and what an impressive second-half comeback, especially with Draymond Green getting ejected. You didn't have arguably the second-best player on the court for the Golden State Warriors. Meanwhile, Curry putting up 37 minutes. One injury. Poole as well, 31 points. Man, now you've got a Golden State Warriors team. They've got the confidence and they got the swag moving forward in this series. Big hit and miss for the Grizzlies.
I agree with you. Reaction, I hate to say it because I love this Grizz team, but think about what happened here. Steph Curry was missing open shots late. Klay Thompson missed both those free throws. Draymond Green was ejected. Jaren Jackson had the game of his life. Guy was shooting it like Steph Curry from downtown. And the Warriors still won the game. I think that was their missed opportunity to grab that 1-0 lead. Now if they go back to Golden State down 0-2, it might be a sweep. I think the series does end in 4 or 5 games, especially if Draymond is not ejected or suspended in Game 2 or later in this series. So I really do think when you stack up the best players in this series, 5 of the best 6 are Warriors. Ja's in there, but then with the emergence of Jordan Poole, with Steph, with Klay, with Draymond, maybe an Andrew Wiggins and Jaren Jackson or, Desmond Bane are right there. But, at least 4, if not 5 of the 6 best players wear Warrior uniforms. And they're only getting better, Anita, as this postseason continues. And they remember what that championship DNA feels like. So they're going to be tough, and I think that was a huge missed opportunity for the Memphis Grizzlies in Game 1. All right, reaction or no action, settling Sunday's affairs on the hardwood. Let's start looking at tonight's games. The first one we'll see in the Eastern Conference as the Miami Heat take on the Philadelphia 76ers. You see the Game 1 side and total, the series price. We now know And in case you hadn't heard, Joel Embiid out for at least games 1 and 2. That's a big blow for the 76ers due to that face orbital bone fracture. I love seeing the face of our guy, Tim Bontemps. It is not hurt. It is beautiful and shining down there in South Beach, and he's ready to join us and help us break down this matchup here in the Eastern Conference between Miami and Philadelphia. All right, Tim, what's the latest you're hearing about Embiid? We know he's not going to be available in games 1 and 2. How does that affect the series, and when might be the earliest we see Embiid if he is to appear?
Well, as you said, Tyler, we know that he's not going to play in these 2 games in Miami, and certainly not having arguably the MVP of this NBA season is a huge blow to this Philadelphia 76ers, particularly at the defensive end of the court. You know, they've got James Harden, they've got Tyrese Maxey, they've got Tobias Harris, they've got a lot of guys who can score. They don't have a lot of guys who can guard. When they have Embiid out there, they are even more limited at that end when they don't. So for as long as Embiid's going to be out, and as you said, he's going to miss those first 2 games, there's a chance he could come back in either game 3 or 4 in Philadelphia this weekend. So for the Sixers to try to get one of these games in Philly or in Miami and get it back to Philly with a chance to get Embiid and get back in the series, they're going to need their offense to really carry the day and move them along, because their defense probably is going to be able to do it.
All right, so who offensively besides Harden is going to be in the mix to make up for all those points they're going to be missing in the paint with Embiid out, Tim?
Well, Anita, I think if we're talking about Tyrese Maxey tomorrow, it's a very good sign for the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, in the games they played well against the Toronto Raptors in the first round, Maxey was awesome. He was able to get to the rim. He used his incredible speed to get to the paint, to score. He hit a bunch of threes, and he was that third offensive weapon that they needed alongside Joel Embiid and James Harden. Now, obviously, Tobias Harris is going to have to play better. The Sixers are going to need James Harden to be the MVP they thought they were trading for a couple months ago, and really hasn't been that level player so far. But if Maxey could be the guy that he was in the matchup between these 2 teams earlier this season, a few weeks ago, when James Harden and Joel Embiid didn't play and the Sixers won on their home court with Tyrese Maxey going past Tyler Hero time and time again, if he could be that kind of player, the Sixers could maybe steal one of these 2 games and make this thing interesting going back to Philly.
Tim Bontemps always bringing the heat with us here on Bet, as he is down in Miami, and I wonder if he's petitioning the NBA to have games 3 and 4 stay in Miami rather than return to Wells Fargo. Looks beautiful down there, Tim. You've done enough helping us on Daily Wager and Bet today. Get out and enjoy South Beach for a little bit, brother.
I'll do my best. Thanks, guys.
All right, Anita, let's offer our plays for this game. You heard what Tim had to say about Embiid and who is likely going to be responsible for trying to pick up that slack. He said the defense is going to take the biggest hit with Embiid out. Heat laying 7.5 at home in game 1. Very low total of 208.5. Any side total plays, props you like?
Yeah, I love the Heat here. I'll lay the 7.5. I know I'm with the public. I'll still write it. Also, I like the over here in this matchup as well. Now, these 2 teams in the regular season split their series 2-2. And really interesting, all 4 games, not either team were not healthy. Either the Heat were missing Jimmy Butler, Harden wasn't a part of the 76ers yet. Now, no disrespect to Lowry, but man, the fact that Embiid is out, this team is 6-8 without him, it's going to be tough sledding. There's no denying that. I think Harden and Maxey, like Tim said, they're going to have to step up big time. But Tyler, here's the thing. Their bench has not been good. Worst in scoring in the postseason, only averaging 18 points per game in the postseason off the bench. Meanwhile, for the Heat, one of the best. Their bench players are averaging 35 points a game. And last but not least, we know how good this Heat defense is. They're great in transition basketball. That's where Philadelphia excels. Teams are only averaging 7 points in transition. So Heat check all the boxes tonight.
Yeah, I like the Heat side in some way. I want to chop it up for this game. I'm going to attack the player prop market. Now, if you missed Daily Wager, which was on early today, 2 p.m. Eastern, you saw that. You may not have seen, pardon me, and I'll tell you right now that my best bet for tonight is Jimmy Butler over 2.5 steals plus blocks. Well, that's my best bet, but I did want to kind of offer this player prop as well that I do like because it kind of correlates. I think that Miami defense, Butler and Bam Adebayo, really going to clamp down on James Harden. With no Embiid to worry about, Harden's going to struggle, I think, in the pick and roll. He has not been his normally efficient self that we usually see during this postseason run. So 42.5 points, assists, and rebounds seems a little high. I think he's going to struggle to get to his 25.5. player point prop. We know he can get there with assists, but again, I just think he's going to struggle with efficiency scoring the basketball, as the entire Philadelphia 76er offense might with no Embiid. I think they're going to really be held in check. Harden under 42.5. And again, my best bet on Daily Wager, over 2.5 steals plus blocks at plus 130 for Jimmy Butler. So that's why we're looking at that first matchup. Heat and Sixers. Anita, here is our game 2 tonight. Western Conference semifinals kicking off in Phoenix with the Suns laying 6 at home against Luka and the Mavs, a $3 series price favorite. Total was 214.5 for tonight. Anita, what do you like for this game 1 tilt?
I like a lot. I love the Mavs, and I love the fact that now it's at 6. It opened up at 5.5. I'm also on the under here at 214.5, and I have 2 prop bets. Hang tight. Why do I like the Mavs? Luka averaging 29 points a game in his career against the Suns. And Brunson, the biggest difference since the trade. They get rid of KP. Brunson, he's averaging 28 points a game in the postseason. He's been dynamic. And defensively, since Jason Kidd has taken over this team as the head coach, their defense now coming into the postseason 6th best in the NBA. What do? They limit three-pointers. They force teams for mid-range jumpers. We saw it with the Jazz. And I think as well as Dallas is hitting those three-pointers, especially Reggie Bullock, another prop bet that I like. Over 2.5 three-pointers tonight. Also, I like Ayton, over 11.5 rebounds. Those are my 2 prop bets in this matchup. No one really there in the paint to contend or contest with Ayton, but nonetheless, I think Dallas. I love them getting the points, and I might even throw some money on the money line. Tyler,
they were my dog of the day in this afternoon's presentation of Daily Wager. Plus 205, worth a little sprinkle, because I think those odds don't quite align with the reality of the implied probability of them pulling the upset when you have someone like Luka Doncic. For the purpose of this presentation, I'll just take the 6-point head start, make things a little bit easier for me, some margin for error with the Mavericks. They were 27-17, or they are, I should say, 27-17 ATS on the road this season. That includes the postseason first-round matchup with Utah. Luka Doncic in his career basically averaging 33 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists per game in his playoff career. That's 16 games, so it's not small sample size. I just think that's too many points to give Luka. So give me the 6-point head start. I think they can pull the upset, but even if they lose, as long as it's by 6 points or less, no blood, and we might be a winner if it's by 5 points or less. All right, Anita, let's get to Mel Kiper's draft report card. Since the draft is over and done with, that's why you were here in Vegas. I know you loved your time in Vegas, and I know Vegas loved hosting all of these draft nicks that were here, because even though I was in St. Louis, Vegas looked like it was popping all weekend long. Baltimore and the Jets getting the 2 best grades from Mel Kiper Jr. You see some other notable grades there. How about Dallas and New England? Big name franchises, just average draft grades of C+. Let's dive further into the fallout of the 2022 NFL Draft and welcome in our guy, our GM here, Mike Tannenbaum, to join us now on
there
Bet.
He
Mike
is.
T, we always love having you here on Bet because you deliver the goods. Let's start with this. Just overall in the entire NFL, what team do you think made the biggest impact in this draft in terms of helping them have a dynamic or a good 2022 NFL season?
Great to be with you guys. I think this one's easy. It's the New York Jets. When you think about it, things really just broke their way. Starting at the top, Sauce Gardner, shutdown corner. Garrett Wilson, in my opinion, the best receiver in the draft. Somehow they were able to get Jermaine Johnson, the pass rusher out of FSU. And then to get Breece Hall at the top of the second round, he was the best running back. So I think we got 4 players that should come in and start from day one. When they're on the field of minicamp next month, they should just go and never look back. So I think this draft helped the New York Jets immensely.
All right, Mike, give us another team out there that you're just so impressed with what they did in the draft that you feel it's going to translate immediately into the NFL this coming season.
You know, Anita, I know some teams are criticizing, but the Green Bay Packers, and here's why. They got 2 really good players in the first round in Devontae Wyatt, a really good interior pass rusher, and Quay Walker, the Georgia teammate at linebacker. And then Christian Watson, to me, is going to help this year. Now, I think they could still add a veteran wide receiver at some point, but when you think about what they've done defensively, and Jair Alexander's coming off of injury, this team should be much improved on the defensive side of the ball.
Mike T bringing it. He must have had a wonderful avocado toast for breakfast while he was arguing with Dan Orlovsky on Get Up this morning about those Packers. Mike T, always a pleasure having you here on Bet. Look forward to chatting with you throughout the offseason, buddy.
All right, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, we were a little more civil with him than Dan was, but it's all in good fun when those two go at it on Get Up. Great television is what it provides when those two share their opinions. All right, so you heard what Mike T had to say about the two teams he liked, the Jets, which Mel Kiper gave them an A grade. He mentioned the Packers as well. Even though they didn't address wide receiver right away, they did draft two. And if you're drafting from that Georgia defense, those are probably a couple of pretty good players based on the way that team played defense this season. So, Anita, let's kind of take our 20,000-foot view of what we see as the fallout of the NFL draft. What team or organization do you want to highlight as getting something done there and making you more interested in the futures market for the 22 season?
Yeah, I talked about it on Daily Wager on Friday and again today, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, goodness gracious, you add A.J. Brown to the mix along with Devontae Smith, along with Dallas Goedert in an offense that Nick Sirianni oversees where Jalen Hurts, you don't know if he's going to run, if he's going to pass. Then on the defensive side of the ball, they go out, they draft Jordan Davis. I mean, talk about a big baby. And now you put him next to Fletcher Cox. Who's going to run on the Eagles? Not Saquon Barkley, not Ezekiel Elliott. So I just, and they went deep. They got some really good players. Jerkins, a center, some scouts felt was the best center in this draft.
Yep.
So they did extremely well. So I like Philadelphia to win that division. I also like the Colts more so based on what Tennessee did, right? Like trading A.J. Brown away and drafting Willis, the quarterback from Liberty, really kind of setting the stage, knowing that Tannehill, clock is ticking, dude. Clock is ticking.
All right, Eagles and Colts you like with the fallout of the draft. And again, it's not just plays or picks they made in the draft. Of course, Philadelphia, a big upgrade by trading for someone who's already established as a star in the league. I'm going to look at the Baltimore Ravens as a team that I really want to invest in hardcore in that AFC North. I'll play them over 9.5 wins. I'll play them to win that division. I can't believe the Browns are the favorite to win the AFC North right now. Deshaun Watson might not play. I'll just say this. I guarantee you he doesn't play all 16 games. He'll be facing some kind of suspension, and that's going to hurt them in these 6, 8, whatever games that he does not play. And then you look at Baltimore. I'll get to what they did in the draft in a second, but let's just look at the injury luck from last season. Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins, and Gus Edwards, their top 2 running backs. Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters, their top 2 cornerbacks. Ronnie Stanley has played 1 game since 2020. He's an all-pro left tackle. That's 5, 6, 7 great players. They bring in Marcus Williams, a Pro Bowl caliber safety from the New Orleans Saints. Then they draft Kyle Hamilton, who is the odds-on top dog safety, the best safety prospect in this class. Tyler Linderbaum right there in the first round as well. David Ojabo, who won't be able to play early or contribute, but would have been a first-rounder had it not been for his injury. I mean, they drafted 2 tight ends as well, so they can run more 12 and 13 personnel with Mark Andrews. Get back to the nuts and bolts of what they did in 2019 when they had the best offense in the league. It wasn't because he was throwing the rock to Hollywood Brown and other wide receivers. He had Mark Andrews, but Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins, and Gus Edwards ran all over you. I think they could return to that in this AFC North with better injury luck. I think there's going to be some regression for the Cincinnati Bengals. I think the Browns have a big question mark, even with Deshaun Watson there at quarterback. How many games will he play? I think the Steelers are actually the biggest threat to them in that division. I just think Baltimore crushed the draft, and they're ready for a big bounce back in 2022.
Listen, Tyler, don't sleep on the Pittsburgh Steelers in this division either. I know they went out, they drafted Kenny Pickett, but I think people are sleeping on Trubisky. Their defense is going to be rock solid like it has each and every year. That's their staple. That's their identity. And Trubisky, the Steelers won in spite of Ben Roethlisberger last year. Trubisky is going to help them win this year. So I'm with you with the Ravens. I think their biggest competition is going to be the Steelers.
I agree. I think the Steelers are the biggest threat in that division to the Ravens, not the defending AFC champion Bengals, and not the team that's the favorite right now in the Cleveland Browns. So one of those two, I am betting the Ravens or the Steelers to win the AFC North. All right, Anita, let's get off the gridiron and get to the diamond. means it's time for some Diamond Dollars, where we're just trying to build this bankroll, baby, as the season goes on. Going back to last Wednesday when we were together, Anita, we were together in the Daily Wager studio. You offered up 3 bets. One of them was a winner. 2 of them were losers. But as a whole, you made out plus, I think, $2.50 with those 3 bets. So, I mean, no blood. And you added, a half of a Starbucks coffee or something like that to your bankroll. I had 1 bet, and it was a nice winner. Padres' first 5 over 2.5 runs at Cincinnati. That 1952 bet returned $40. So right now, Anita, you're sitting at $1.63. I'm sitting at $170. We're off to a great start to the first month of the season. It is a marathon. I'm guessing you have more than 1 bet today, because that's just kind of the way that you like to do things. Tell us what you're offering up for Diamond Dollars, how much you're wagering, how much you want to win.
All right, so I'm gonna lay $10 down on the Twins on the run line, okay? And I'm gonna get that at plus 115. They've won 9 of their last 10. Paddock is on the bump, 13 strikeouts, only 1 walk. He hasn't given up 1 home run so far this season. The O's, not good. Only 11 home runs total on the season for their team. Their bats just aren't doing it. And Wells is on the bump for them tonight. He's 0-4 with a 5.54 ERA. And the Twins, a lot of righties in that lineup. And Wells does not do well. No bueno, baby, against righties. So I love Minnesota. Again, I'm going to play it on the run line. I'm also going to put $5 on the over at over 7.5. I think the Twins are really going to light it up tonight.
All right, I am going to look at one play, and unfortunately, Anita, we're on opposite sides here. I'm attacking the total in that Orioles-Twins game, and I'm going to go under 7.5 runs. So one of us will be a winner, one of us will be a loser, since we have that hook. But bottom line here, games in Baltimore. The Orioles have played 9 games at Camden Yards. Only 1 of those 9 games has gone over the total. I'm not sure if our viewers out there know this, but they changed the dimensions of Camden Yards. If you look at left field now, they moved the fence back about 10, 15 feet. They also built it a little higher, so it's become more pitcher-friendly down the left field line and in the left field power alleys for right-handed bats. We have a deader baseball, and here's the biggest shocker of all. The Orioles actually pitched the ball fairly well in the month of April. Now, I expect that to regress. Don't get it twisted. I'm not expecting this team to be, top 5, top 10 in terms of ERA in baseball this season. But clearly, they've upgraded the pitching staff as a whole. They got some starters. Their bullpen is much better. And with the dimensions at home being changed, I'm not quite sure the market has adjusted to how much differently Camden Yards is playing. Normally, a hitter haven. Maybe now with the new dimensions, a little more pitcher-friendly. So I'm going to wager $10.99 on the Twins-Orioles under 7.5 runs. So we're at odds there. One of us will win, one of us will lose. But there will be a winner as it pertains to that total with the O's and the Twins. 7:05 Eastern first pitch. All of our Diamond Dollar plays in one game on the same field. All right, Anita, let's wrap it up by turning our attention to the ice, because the NHL postseason march begins tonight. Here are the odds to win the Stanley Cup. The Avs and Panthers are your favorites out of each conference. Keep in mind, we haven't seen a Canadian team win since 1993. Patrick Waugh, Kurt Muller, and the Montreal Canadiens. Flames, Maple Leafs, and Oilers are the best chance according to those odds at Caesars Sportsbook. Our best chance to figure out some winners on the ice is welcome in the Puck Daddy, the one and only Greg Wyshynski, to break down this NHL postseason. All right, I'm in Las Vegas. She's on the East Coast. I'll handle the Western Conference. She'll handle the Eastern Conference. Let's start in the Western Conference here. Who has the best value? The best value to win the conference and advance to the Stanley Cup in your eyes?
I think it's either of the teams that are playing in a 2-3 series in the Central Division, the Minnesota Wild or the St. Louis Blues. I think either of those teams are capable of taking out the Colorado Avalanche, which is what's going to have to be done in order to win the Western Conference. I like the Wild in that series a little bit better than the Blues. No slight to the Blues. I've been high on them all year. But the home ice advantage, the depth, the fact that they put up more than 4 goals per game at home, and the goaltending with Marc-Andre Fleury and Cam Talbot. Either of those teams, a pretty good long bet in the West, but I'll take the Wild to actually advance all the way to the Stanley Cup Final.
All right, just like Tyler said, I'm on the East Coast. I'll handle the East. Does the winner of the Stanley Cup come from the state of Florida again? Puck Daddy?
I think it does, and I think it's going to be the Florida Panthers this time. Look, there is a well-established curse that happens to teams that win the President's Trophy in the National Hockey League with the best regular season record. The Panthers had it. They had the best season in their franchise's history. This is the best offensive team we've seen in the NHL since 1995-96. They're deep. They're talented. They've got veterans. They got guys that can grind it out and get physical in the postseason. As long as they have goaltending that doesn't cost them series, I do think that they're going to win the Stanley Cup this year. Although, like you said, Anita, reading between the lines, don't sleep on the two-time Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning putting a third together.
All right, Puck Daddy, what a busy night on the ESPN family of networks, whether you're on the Mothership or the Deuce. We have 4 total playoff games tonight of that quartet to choose from on the menu. What is your one single best bet for Monday night's action?
Well, I'll give you 2. I like the Wild on the money line in Game 1 of their series against St. Louis, but the one that I mentioned on Daily Wager today, the Los Angeles Kings over 2.5 goals against the Edmonton Oilers. The Kings have been over this total in 6 of their last 9 games. They went over this total in both road games at Edmonton this season. My hope is that Oilers goalie Mike Smith turns back into a pumpkin after being great for the last month and a half. If so, I think the Kings will beat this total. It's already kind of moving in that direction anyway, if you check the lines. So the Kings over 2.5 goals. I think it's at -120 right now.
All right, a little extra credit, some bonus from the Puck Daddy, and we love that because the long march towards lifting Lord Stanley's Cup begins. For my money, no playoff run like an NHL playoff run. Puck Daddy, appreciate you joining us here on Bet. Look forward to chatting throughout the postseason.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, Anita, it is our turn to examine the 4 games that we have tonight and offer up some picks. Real quickly, what do you like on tonight's menu?
Yeah, give me the Lightning on the money line at +105, and also in that game against the Maple Leafs, I like the under at 6.5. These 2 teams went 2-2 in the regular season, but the Leafs, a lot of pressure and wound a little bit more tight at home. 3-7 their last 11 games. Bunting, big question mark whether or not he's going to play tonight. And also, I like the under. Fewer power plays that are called in the postseason. Big reason why I like the under.
I'll go to my squadron, the Blues taking on the Minnesota Wild. You heard Puck Daddy talk about it. I'm going to play that total over 6 goals. These teams matched up 3 times this season. 6-5 in overtime Blues, 4-3 in overtime Blues, and 6-4 St. Louis. So they averaged 9.3 goals per game in their 3 matchups. You heard Puck Daddy say Minnesota's offense awesome on their home ice, averaging over 4 goals per game. The Blues were the 3rd best scoring offense in the NHL, the 2nd best power play unit in the NFL. We got a couple of good goalies in Marc-Andre Fleury and Ville Husso, but I think these offenses are really, really good. And 6.5, 6 at some shops if you can find it. I think we're going to see a few goals in this game with these 2 offenses going at it in Minnesota. All right, Anita, that'll do it for our action on the ice and our Monday edition of Bet. She's got the Harden shirt on. Will Harden show up tonight in Game 1? We will find out. Look forward to chatting with you next time, Wednesday, right here on Bet.